Good morning, everyone. This is Rosario Lawrence here with LeadHER Talks, along with my two other co-founders to LeadHER Talks, Vanessa Montañez and Chantal Camarillo. We are so excited and humbled to really bring you this episode. It's something very touching for us. It's around gratitude now that we are quickly approaching the Thanksgiving holiday. So we have a very special guest near and dear to my heart out of Ventura County, which is Kay Wilson-Bolton. So many of you who know her and in the real estate community know what a selfless LeadHER she is. So before we really jump into having this just candid conversation, getting to know Kay and what she does, I want to open up with a quick little passage from, actually it's her website, from the Spirit of Santa Paula that really moved me. And it says, do all the good you can, by all the means you can, in all the ways you can, in all the places you can, at all times you can, to the people you can, as long as ever you can. And it's a quote by John Wesley. I had never heard it, but really touched me as we were preparing here to have the opportunity to speak with Kay. So wonderful words, and clearly she lives by them. So a little bit about Kay before we jump into a couple of questions in our candid conversation. So Kay is really a selfless leader in Ventura County, especially specifically the city of Santa Paula, California. It's a beautiful town, somewhat northeast, I would say, of the LA metro area. At one point, she actually served as the mayor of Santa Paula, and I would say she would be still considered the mayor of Santa Paula in my eyes. She has a degree from Cal Poly in marketing and business administration, as well as one from Master's College. She has received countless awards. I mean, just to name a few: Champion of Home Award in 2015 by the California Association of Realtors, the Spirit Award in 2014 by the Ventura County Coastal Association of Realtors, Realtor of the Year for in 1996 as well, Most Distinguished Alumni from Cal Poly Pomona, and Humanitarian of the Year. Her selfless leadership over the decades has been around a lot of community services, amongst being a well-rounded and leader in the real estate community. She has served on many boards. She was a founding member of United Way, a Women Legacy Council, so that's very cool. She also was president of associations for the real estate community here in Ventura County twice, for two separate ones. She's founded the Spirit of Santa Paula, a 501(c), which is really what we're going to ask her about during our conversation with Kay, which is many meals and rental, utility support, and homeless services. And she's also a chaplain to the Santa Paula and Ventura County Fire Department. Personally, she's married to Howard Bolton, lives in beautiful Santa Paula, California. She has rescued dogs and cats that she absolutely loves. And she has something very much in common with my dear friend Vanessa here at LeadHER Talks, which she loves books. So you get a little bit background of who Kay Wilson-Bolton is. So Kay, what overall, either childhood, adulthood, in your journey and, in life, really drove you and had, made the calling for you to really serve our community here in Ventura County?
There was a moment in time when it became clear to me what my calling was. But, as a little girl, we lived on a roadway in Rochester, New Hampshire, and it was traveled by what we used to call the hobos. And there was a train connection near our community, and they used to identify our house as a place to get a free meal. And so I was probably 6 or 7, 8 years old, and my mother used to feed them and have them sit on the back stoop. And I remember watching them and wondering where they came from and why are they at my house, and why are they sitting on the back stairs, and why are they eating out of one of the tin plates instead of a regular plate? So, those things burn little impressions in your mind. But for the defining moment, it was Christmas Eve 2008. remember, the economy was starting to unravel back then, and we were seeing a new face of homelessness. And I didn't realize that Santa Paula had homeless people back then, but I was on a call with the fire department, and we found that a homeless man had died in one of our churches. And the medical examiner commented then that he was going to die somewhere. Lucky him, he was in a church. And that began my resolve that I had no idea we had homeless people. The janitor of that particular church had been letting them in at night, and there were 8 or 10 of them that he was sneaking in, so they were out of the cold. And I didn't realize we had one, let alone 10. And as it turned out, we probably had 50 or 60. So that was the beginning, and just feeling like I needed to do something. And it was early in the email days. I still have the original email that went out to about 25 people who had email. If you remember, this was back in 2008, and we decided to start a hot meal because shelter was just too difficult. And believe me, it is difficult to run a homeless shelter, hardest thing on the planet.
Thank you again, Kay. Again, for joining LeadHER Talks and just sharing your remarkable journey. Clearly, you wear many hats. Your passion to help others and for representing that warm fire. That was a comment you said in one of your videos that really touched my heart. Really, your symbolism of hope for a lot of those families or individuals that are experiencing hardship, especially in the homeless community. And unfortunately, 17 out of 10,000 people in America experience homelessness on a single night. And that's before COVID, right? Before COVID has unfortunately impacted many of us, right? And I'm more likely in the homeless community as well. But as founder of Santa Paula, can you share with our viewers what's the Spirit of Santa Paula and what services your extraordinary nonprofit provides currently?
We started in 2002, and we were organized. There were 8 of us, and we met in someone's living room. John and Susan Colwike, he's an architect, she's a designer, and we wondered what we could do for our community. There had been some very contentious land use ballot initiatives that kind of divided the community into the haves and the have-nots. And it took about, since that was 2002, and so it wasn't until 2008 we really hit our stride. But we've evolved, we've grown. We have a utility assistance program thanks to the United Way that provides funding through the Emergency Food and Shelter Program. We have a foods pantry that we provide twice a week. We're now serving almost 5,000 people a month, thanks to Food Share and our great partnerships with Cal Recycle through the state of California. And we have a drop-in center for homeless people. Due to COVID, we can't let them in the building anymore because that's also our homeless shelter. And so we provide breakfast or lunch in both if they want it. On Fridays, we do showers. Thanks to the partnership we have with the Ventura County Healthcare Agency and the Continuum of Care. And they can see a nurse or a doctor. They can get homeless services there. They can get their TB shot. And now with our shelter, we really have some challenges there because we can't let anybody just come right into the shelter. And quite honestly, we've had pretty bad experiences just letting someone come in who may happen to be cold. And so they bring all of their baggage, emotional, mental, physical baggage with them into the shelter. And right now we have 4 children, and we'll be having 5 soon. One is a CPS case, and we are so trusted with how we run things that we have a CPS child and her mother with us. So that makes us extra careful how we manage our population. And thanks to Vern Alstott and George Magana, they provided a containment pod for us that people can stay in for 4 days, get a negative COVID test, and then they're eligible to come into the shelter. We have pretty strict rules about what happens when they come in. And you know, it's counterintuitive to keep people in a shelter and not let them go to work. COVID has so changed how we have to do things. Almost to a one, they want to go be with their family at Thanksgiving, and I'm having to say, no, you can't go. We'll do something at the shelter, but you know, they're not with their families all year, and so they see this opportunity to be with family on a very important holiday, but I'm having to say, no, you can't go, because you know, the public health officer is saying Thanksgiving's gonna be the big spreader, and so I cannot have that come back to the shelter. I only let them leave a half an hour every day. I'm not letting anybody work. Except for one who was working in a lab in Simi Valley, talked to the manager, very specific protocols on how they manage things. You know, the trick is, can you trust them to come directly back to the shelter and not, you know, make some detours along the way? It's very challenging to be fair, but to be protective. And I've told all of them, when this is over, you'll either love me or hate me, and I don't care which it is, because I'm just not going to let COVID come in there. I mean, it might, despite all the precautions, but that's how counterintuitive it is right now to keep them there when they want to be out. People are out there, want to come in. So very challenging, but we're dedicated to being careful and being loving at the same time. That's really a balancing act.
With that, Kay, that was actually going to be my next question. How has COVID impacted the community and your work at the Spirit of Santa Paula? But you just answered that so eloquently, because it has impacted. You have to bring in the safety measures and look at the greater good of the community and other individuals that it impacts. But as an individual, because we have such a high state of homelessness here in California, over all the US, as an individual, what can we do to help support shelters like yourself, you know, the Spirit of Santa Paula, or locally? What are some three things, easy implementations that an individual can do to, you know, move the needle just a little bit, to do a little bit more work and gratitude into the community?
Well, the first one is to be kind about this subject. Not everybody loves me, I'll tell you. I've lost friendships over my dedication to this cause, if you will. I'm saying to the public, if you don't want to help, just be quiet. Go away, stay away, leave us alone. Don't criticize, don't pick on us. Just let us do what we do. You don't have to help, you don't have to get your hands dirty. So that's probably the simplest one. The second one is financial support, of course. A third is to think differently about the homeless issue. I hardly know anybody who doesn't know somebody who has somebody or is somebody or knows somebody who is on the verge or is homeless. And you know, when this stay is lifted for evictions, I don't know what we're going to see.
Yeah.
We know that people, if they can't pay their rent now, they're certainly not going to be able to go back and pay what they owe. There are some abuses on that I'm aware of, but for the most part, people have been impacted and lost the service jobs. Another thing that we've all got to do is think differently about housing. We need to provide housing where people work. You look at the city of Camarillo right now and Simi Valley, their service people can't live where they work. So they end up living 15, 25 miles away. It creates traffic problems. If the battery is dead in the morning or there's a flat tire, they can't get to work because they live so far. If the kids are sick, they can't get to school. It creates human problems when you don't have housing near where people live. We have to think differently about that. And there's some legislation, I think, coming down that's going to require us to do that. And we have to be thoughtful about what kind of housing is near us. We all want the big, well, most of us are used to having the big yard, and we want the place for the kids and pets to play, but not everybody wants or needs that kind of housing. We have to think about it differently if we're going to have a community that's healthy and balanced. And we all want jobs provided in our communities. You have to have the housing jobs balance. And that means if you don't have housing, the employers aren't going to come. And so it's obvious as to what communities are impacted by that. by those that are built out, don't have room. Santa Paula, for example, it's 98% built out. And we've lost a Gelson's, a Trader Joe's, and an Albertsons because there aren't enough people who live here. The big employers don't live here because there isn't housing here. So there's a variety of issues that impact homelessness, and we can all do something at every level, and one is certainly to be informed and be an advocate where you can for housing that helps people at all levels of our economic base.
Okay, what makes your point of view so important is you could look at it as a founder of the Spirit of Santa Paula. You could look at it as the past mayor and looking at your constituents, and also a realtor, because this is what you do for your day job and you're excellent at it. So you have so many different perspectives that your opinion really matters, and it's spot on.
Good.
Absolutely. Well, Kay, I'm sure you have had plenty of stories that you can talk to us about, but in terms of people that have received services and have successfully, been able to then move on to the next phase, is there a particular family or individual that really resonates with you when you think of that person that was helped or family, with the impact that the Spirit of Santa Paula made for that family? And can you tell us a little bit about them?
Yeah, I would love to. There have been a number of, I'll call them success stories, where they went from hope to hopeless to hope and then hope more. One family came to us December of 2018. They were renting a room. They were told at 11 o'clock at night that they had to be out at 6 the next morning because they were being evicted. They had a 5-year-old daughter, and so they were out of the house and they were on the streets. The Santa Paula Police Department started watching them because they had a 5-year-old daughter. So what they were doing is kind of hiding out during the day, and they would ride in their tandem bicycle, pulling a cart with the 5-year-old in the back of the cart. They would ride their bicycle all night long while she slept, and they stayed awake. They were trying to take care of their daughter, so finally police said, we can't do this anymore. So they took the child into CPS, and she was in foster care for a year. And the police everybody cried, and the police officer said, you have to go see Kay. See her tomorrow, get this taken care of. So they came to see me. The shelter was open at the Methodist Church that year, and they cried. They had a little black dog named Brownie, and so they've kept Brownie with them for a while, and then we said, okay, we need a plan. We have to connect you with the services, go talk to the people who are going to take care of you, stay in touch with your social worker, find out what the CPS social worker wants you to do, go to behavioral health, get in touch with the services here in Santa Paula that are county services. They did it all. Pretty soon, one of them got a job at McDonald's. The next one got a job at Lowe's. They ended up going to Gabriel's house. They did everything they were supposed to do at Gabriel's house. Then they were allowed visits with their daughter. And then a year later, almost to the day, they had their own apartment. They had a car. Both of them were working, and guess who's back home? Their daughter. So they both work for Spirit of Santa Paula. One of them is the assistant manager. The other is the facilities manager. And they just bought a new car and full-time jobs. And it is a success, but it's not easy. They had to do the work, but and we could only deal with them. You can't do 100 people at a time. You take one at a time, you manage that. Then as you expand your knowledge base, then you take in 2 at a time, then it's 3, and then it's 4. We have an 82-year-old man at our shelter now who is in the final stages of cancer. We get him to doctor's appointment 3 days a week. He's taking his infusion. He goes in for another treatment on Monday. We have another woman who has brain surgery scheduled. I mean, how does that happen? That they have these ailments, and this time of their life, they have no one but people running a homeless shelter to shepherd them. I mean, thank God they do, and I'm grateful that it's a privilege to walk with people at this stage of their life, but we're just one. There are thousands and thousands of people, but I thank God He's put me right in this place. It's no accident, and everyone who comes to us, here's the other thing, and I don't know where we are on time, so let me know, but this is important. We did our homeless count last January, and we counted 97 people, down from 100 and I think 12. And you know how many people have come to our homeless shelter since we opened on December the 7th? 340. So when I look at these statistics, I thought, well, wait, we just counted 97. How do we end up with over 300? That's the trouble with homelessness, because people can go in and out of it. It doesn't mean they're a drug addict or an alcoholic or running from the law. It means that they're suffering some kind of economic impact that's insurmountable. And so we've had 47 people come through who are now placed in permanent housing. And so, I mean, 47 out of 340, but they go to family members. They go back to jail sometimes. So there's just, I mean, I could write a book about this. Nobody'd ever believe it, but I have journaled it. And when I look back at who was with us and now who isn't, to think we had 97 and we've had so many come through for a period of time. Thank God for a shelter. Without a shelter, every community has to have one. They're very expensive and they're hard to run and they're expensive. But we're doing it because we have so much volunteer work and we have so much community support from our supervisor, Kelly Long, our city manager and our city council. They've been our good partners in public health, behavioral health, law enforcement. Oh my gosh, when they find somebody, they just call me and we pick them up and do the best we can. But
Okay, and for our viewers, what is your website? So if anybody wanted to donate money.
spiritofsantapaula.org, we've made that very simple. The .org, Spirit of Santa Paula, yeah.
Incredible, Kay. You are definitely a blessing. And like I said, that beacon of hope for many in Santa Paula. And with that, I wanted to ask you, what does Lead Her mean to you?
So I'm looking at three faces of women that I just admired and loved. And Rosario and I go back, oh, how many years? Gosh. But Lead Her, I mean, there's a place for everyone to serve. But I watch women and, you know, a lot of women do it quietly. They do bits and pieces here and there. They're raising families. How many single moms do we know that are having to do it all? And so leadership is at all levels of our society, from that single mom to, you know, the widow who will do what she can. I mean, women are just wonderful and they're everywhere. And look how many women have been elected to elected office this year. I mean, it's astonishing. In all parties. So I don't know. I look to women to carry a lot of the weight that needs to be carried. And I love the men who are there beside us, but that's how I feel about women.
Thank you for that. And in the spirit of Thanksgiving and gratitude, we'd like to ask you, what are you thankful for?
Oh God. Well, I'm 73 and I'm thankful for my good health. I have to tell you that. God has really put his hand on me for that so far. Thankful for, I'm just grateful I have a purpose in my life that adds value and gives back to me. You know, we lost our daughter in 2006 to drug overdose. She was a very successful businesswoman. She was on the opioid bandwagon, and we had no idea. And that happened, actually, no, it's 2000, isn't that funny how you forget a date? It was 2013. 2006 is when we had another family issue, but this work started before we lost Kathy. And so I'm just grateful that I found my place and my purpose and that God has anointed me to know this is my place, and I have no longing to go do anything now other than this. So it's nice at this stage of life to know exactly who you are.
That's so beautiful, and thank you for sharing that. I love the fact we had you during this episode. It's the time of gratitude and being thankful. And what I really enjoyed today is how you really positioned and painted a picture of who can be impacted by homelessness or the need for, having to have the opportunity to just feed themselves. And, that is the heart of a family. And so thank you so much for sharing that with us today. Kay, we really appreciate it. It could not have gone any better than to put it out there to the community that it could happen to us. I could be lining up and asking you to help me and my family.
I'm there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kay.
And Rosario, what are you grateful for?
Well, I am grateful I'm with Kay, health. That's my birthday wish to all my friends and to everybody that I love. I always say, sending blessings of health, because I always say without our health, we can't do anything. So definitely my health, my family, and my circle of friends, all of you. And, and just being grateful that we live in this beautiful country, this beautiful area, and just practicing the mindfulness of just taking it all in. That's what I'm grateful for, knowing that I need to continue to do that and enjoy my whole family. What about you, Ms. Chantal?
Yeah, I'm just extremely thankful for my family, really, especially during this pandemic. It's been an absolute blessing to have my two little ones and enjoying them, supporting them during this environment. And I'm just blessed to have them and my family. So that's what I'm thankful for.
And I'm grateful to have this experience, knowing that we're united, we're here to empower and enrich others, as humble as we are, just paving the way for others to be better than us, to be grateful. I'm just blessed to know that we're all healthy and safe, and I wish nothing but the best for everyone out there. So just grateful for our health as well. So with that, we want to go ahead and close out, but stay tuned next week when we're going to talk about savings, on how to save through the pandemic safely, how to take advantage of Black Friday and Cyber Monday safely through the pandemic, and looking at good opportunities of savings throughout the holidays. So with that, thank you so much for this moment. Kay, sharing your journey with us, being the founder of a wonderful organization. So please, viewers, if you have any money, any time, please donate to the Spirit of Santa Paula.org. Please go to the website. We will put their information on our website as well as the link. So you can go ahead and donate. Any money is welcome. Any volunteer work is welcome. So thank you from the bottom of our heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Kay.
Bye-bye, everyone.